everyone. Welcome to Ace Entrepreneur's first podcast, Boss in Business. We're going to be talking to amazing entrepreneurs from the diverse community, and this is our first ever podcast, and our guest is Sade Amale. Hi, Sade.
Hi, Nadine. How are you?
Yeah, good. Really good. Hot, but enjoying and loving the amazing weather in London right now. How's it going with you?
Yeah, same. Hot, roasting, sweating, 31 degrees, hottest day of the year. But yeah, I'm good. Pretending that I'm somewhere tropical.
Yes. I love that. I've got my African.
Yeah, you're in Africa. Where would I be?
So
the Amazon somewhere.
Both great places to be. So Sade, I want to give you an opportunity to tell everyone about who is Sade and what you're doing right now. This series is really focusing on every stage of that entrepreneurial journey. So I think at the moment you're just in your ideation, but you've also been working as a data specialist for a long time. So tell us a bit about what you do right now.
So yeah, I started my journey in data and analytics about 10 years ago, and now have sort of transitioned into data science just as a natural progression, the way the market's gone. So yeah, worked at various brands from industries including telecoms, FMCG, what else? Betting even once. Yeah, that's what I've been up to, and now transitioning into entrepreneurship. But I guess we'll talk about that a bit later on. So yeah, that's
amazing. Yeah, and do you fall into the bracket of people that were either? So this is usually how it goes for entrepreneurs. Either you were doing a job and you thought, I want to just branch out on my own. I want to take those skills and do something for myself. Or you were like, I really don't like working for people. I'm going to find any way not to do this anymore and go and do something on my own. So what pushed you into becoming an entrepreneur?
So I would say for me, I've always, as far as I can remember, like maybe when I was a teenager, knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. How to get there was a different story. I always knew that I'd probably have to work as a means to an end in order, I guess, to get some insight into the business world, and also to maybe, I don't know, see how it's done, meet the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always knew that I kind of wanted to have that foundation. So therefore, working has been quite difficult, I would say, because I'm kind of more of an ideas person. And I feel a lot of companies are structured in a way that are kind of BAU. You're not really recognised for generating ideas unless you're higher up. So I didn't realise that I'd find that quite hard, having to stick to processes and so on and so forth, and not, I guess I'm an analyst, so I do get to question things, but it's within a small remit. It's not as in total business top level in that sense. So yeah, I'm kind of upside down in that sense, is that I went to the world of work to gather those skills and to guess by time and try to work out what it is that I'd work on and meet great people like you.
It's really nice that we've connected and we're still in touch today, so that's great. So I actually studied marketing and ended up going into marketing. It wasn't always the plan. Marketing was kind of my backup, and then I ended up liking the fact that it was a challenge. I went into it because I thought I didn't like what marketing was. It was like, you are person A, you fit in box A, we'll market you to A. And I was like, hang on, I don't fit in any of those boxes. This doesn't make sense. I almost went in to break it and be more of a disruptor, right? Did you also study data science, analytics at university, or was it something that came after you'd finished studying?
Yes, so I actually studied psychology as a degree. I wanted to go into clinical psychology, um, but again, quite similarly to you, I just felt that the way in which it was set up probably wasn't, again, right environment for me to work in. Again, the big picture and wanting to change things. And yeah, I think with any sort of medical field, again, it's that process and you don't really get to question. Takes 10 years sometimes to push research through, even if it is valid research. So I thought, what next? And I spoke to my uncle, and I wanted to go into marketing actually. And he suggested that I look into analytics because I did a research-based degree, and yeah, didn't know that analytics existed. Data science actually wasn't on the curriculum about 10 years ago to study as a core subject at uni. So went down that route, discovering what analytics was, and he explained that I'll probably be sat in marketing. So it would be a good way for me to be in marketing, but also have the research and the numbers side of things that I like. So yeah, that's how I got into it. Kind of stumbled, but maybe pushed a bit by my uncle.
Yeah, that's interesting how like you can be on a journey thinking you're going in one particular direction, and then somebody is like, hey, have you thought of this? And then you kind of fall into your chosen field. It was my dad that was like, because basically I was supposed to be studying fashion, and my dad was yeah, you need to do something else as well as fashion. Do that. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do marketing and fashion. And then, like loving it. And it's funny how that one person can open you up to something actually that you can shape and mold and make your own, right?
Yeah.
So, who was your uncle? Someone that was influential to you when you was growing up? How was your family? What was their background? What were they doing? And did they have an influence on how you decided to make those decisions to go to university, to choose psychology, and then obviously they helped you choose data science. But how were they in the beginning? How did they shape you?
Yeah, so I think we touched on this before we had a conversation, and I think we were talking at the time about STEM, which I still can't remember what the acronym is, science, technology, engineering, and math or something. Yes. And I think about 10 years ago, it was probably slightly beyond that, when I was due to go to university, and the government realised, I guess, that not enough women or girls were going into those areas. So yeah, I guess similarly with my family, a lot of them are actually ended up working in tech or engineering, but me not necessarily being aware of that because we never discussed it. Of course, like my immediate nuclear family, my mum had her own business, and then my stepdad, he's an accountant. So I guess, yeah, I kind of had that as inspiration, but didn't know what the rest of my family, my uncles, who then went on to inspire me. So yeah, I really wasn't aware, but I don't know whether it was because of the trend. It's to do with, I guess, women didn't go into those sorts of fields back then. Can't really put my finger on as to why it never came up, but yeah, just never did.
It just never did. Sometimes they don't talk to us about what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know if I knew what all my family actually did. I obviously knew what my mum did because she was the closest one to me, and I, know if she wasn't at home or if she was going out or what she was doing. But they didn't really tell us sort of what they were doing, and maybe they were just busy on the grind. It's like going to one of these things that you can kind of be like doctor, or you get in a job and you stay in that job and you stay there and work your way up the ladder kind of thing, or they'd always push you to go into one of those more core areas because it's more likely to success, right? And they have a slightly easier life maybe than they did, because they did the struggling bit. I remember being told a story by one of my family members how they were successful in their job, and they were running a meeting, and basically they went into the meeting room with their counterparts, which didn't look like them, right? And they all sat and they were all sitting down, and this person, I don't want to reveal them because I don't know if they want me to reveal them, but they were in the meeting first because they're prompt, right? And as everyone came in, they were looking around going, oh, where's the person that's running the meeting? And the person said, no, it's me, I'm running it. And they're all like, you? How are you in a senior position running the meeting? And they kind of like did that squinty eye look, And I don't know if you felt that in business. I felt that, like you've got yourself into a good place, and you're maybe leading a project or being the most skilled person in the room, and you're being challenged as you're a woman, or you're too young, or you're of colour. How could you be in this position? Do you ever feel that people look at you and think, how are you here? You shouldn't be here. You kind of like that imposter syndrome that people talk about.
Yeah, to an extent. To an extent, yes. I think it's more to do with, for me, probably looking younger than I actually am. Yeah, maybe being the only woman in the room. I would definitely say usually I'm the only woman in a core tech team. It just depends where I'm sat in a business. I could be sat in marketing, or I could be sat in a tech team, or I could be sat in innovation. It just really depends. So yeah, I would say definitely from the perspective of looking young, being a woman, I think what I find most difficult is the technical side of things. I think a lot of senior managers have ideas of what they want to do with tech, and obviously a lot of them are tasked with moving their companies forward, with tech being the biggest thing, but probably don't understand enough about tech in order to be able to hire the right people, ask the right questions. So I'm always having to push back. So I don't even know if I notice the other things, because I'm naturally having to push back, because I'm having to explain, like, whoa, we need to take it back here in order to maybe achieve anything, or actually I need to spend 2 months assessing the situation. So, and I think that can be a lot harder if you kind of are a certain age or look a certain way. That can probably be a lot harder. So yeah, I agree, but maybe haven't noticed so much you're not supposed to be here. I probably get the opposite, where most people don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, we've hired you and you're a genius, but you're not performing. I get more of that.
Do you know what you want me to do? Well, we just want you this moon on a stick. It's like,
sometimes there's literally no data, like no exaggeration. Like one company, obviously I won't name, quite a huge company. I went in and they were working with a client, and they hadn't quite got to the stage of actually looking at the database or assessing. So they'd done their strategy and won the account based on their pitch strategy, but didn't even find out from the client whether they have any data. And it turns out that they didn't have any data. So we're literally having to start collecting the data. And this is a huge company, but I've been to so many that don't even have databases.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do you deal with those challenges? And like, when you're working with someone that has that great idea, but they don't know how to put it together, how do you balance sort of letting them know, actually, this is the right way, we should step back and go forwards again, without it becoming, an issue? Is there a way that you deal with people?
Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm on a learning curve with that. I definitely think it's easier having started my own consultancy Data Story 4 or 5 years ago, because you've hired me to do the work. So I must be the expert. But then, you know how the contract market is, sometimes you're still treated as a permanent employee. So a lot of that, I guess, has been organic growth, like knowing, I guess, my rights as a contractor. I'm not an employee, but also expressing at the beginning, I've learned to explain how it will work, and putting a process in place, probably even before I've taken on the role, just to show this is how I'd like to work. Sometimes that works. Sometimes when you're in the thick of things and you've got Christmas pending. I started a new job just before Christmas and every process goes out of the window. That's a bit more difficult. But again, I've learned to just speak up, assert my authority. It can be tough. You're constantly having to be sort of like mindful and maybe like take some time out in your day, go in a quiet room, like organize your thoughts. I feel the psychology aspect of things definitely seeps in there for me when I'm trying to sort of get my point across. So yeah, those are the tools I would say. Knowing the audience, tailoring it towards the audience, preparing, and then just being confident and honest enough to put in a process that you feel that you can achieve. Doesn't always work though, but yeah, that's what I've learned.
So do you think you have to work harder to achieve what you want to achieve? Do you think your journey is any different from anyone else in the UK trying to be in data, or do you think you have to work harder to get to where you want to get to?
Yeah, I definitely think being a Black woman, I have to work harder. I don't know if that's almost a given across the board. It's not. I don't think it's specific to me. You know, I've had stories where people's parents will tell them this, or family members, or school. I just think it's a thing. Maybe something we've heard from a young child. I don't think that's changed much at all. So been very aware of that, like, and also being a woman as well. I feel that it seeps in everywhere, like even when it comes to hiring. I remembered that when I was first starting off in my career, that I needed to have something on my CV that would completely blow every other candidate out of the water, and it would almost be a no-brainer not to hire me, because I knew I was probably being hired by a man who's probably going to find it easier to just hire a man that either looks like him or they have similar interests. And I would definitely say at the beginning of my career, I heard managers say, oh, which is fine. And I think for the culture that we were back then, the whole, what's the term that is usually used about fit? So cultural fit.
Oh, yeah, cultural fit. Yeah, we've had this.
Yeah. Which was the norm then. I think now we realise actually culture should sort of adapt and be inclusive. But that was a big thing then. And yeah, I would hear managers say, oh, yeah, I don't think this person X, Y, and Z is the right cultural fit. Or actually, we've got all lads on the team. How's it going to be if we hire a woman? But probably once I'd gotten into the role, I've noticed that I'd been hired because they were literally couldn't find anyone to do the role.
Yeah. Sometimes they're more concerned about cultural fit than skill. And you'll always have to rehire. Because if it's fit over skill, then you're going to get a great person to hang out with on a Friday, but you're not going to get your task done. So most of the time I'm told that, or some of the time, they've been looking for months on end, blah, 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 as in, I know that I'm getting that role because of how skilled it is, and I just can't hire Joe Blogs to do it. Yes, I understand. I think I had that similar thing in a recent role when they said they were looking for a long time, but they didn't have everyone with the right skills to do it. So I understand that. Definitely that cultural fit thing comes up.
Cultural fit.
I wanted to ask, what does diversity mean to you? I mentioned diversity to someone on a call, I think it was last week, and their thought of diversity was completely different to mine. I would like to know what your take is when people say diversity. It's becoming a real buzzword right now.
Can't tell you I've ever thought about it, which sounds a bit strange because yeah, it should be something I'm interested in, but I think it is because I see it as a buzzword and just like, I don't know what it means, and I'm gonna do what I have to do outside of, you know, quoting to a company, oh, diversity and inclusion, I should be hired because of X, Y, and Z. I just focus and stay headstrong on, I guess, getting my skill sets and so on up to a set where diversity, because I feel there's this whole thing around a diversity hire. I don't think I've ever been a diversity hire. So yeah, I do, like, so
someone tells you here's the diversity hire, oh, you just like the worst.
I know, right? So if I had to take a stab at it, inclusivity.
You don't have to answer. It's just, you know, I don't want you to like try and think of what the answer is. I just was interested to see, because it's actually interesting that you don't have an answer, because it doesn't come into your range, and maybe it's the companies that aren't diverse that therefore need to use the word diversity because they know they aren't diverse, right? And they need to hire more women, more people of different orientations, more people that don't look exactly like them. So that's what it is. It's like, what's your consumer base made out of? Are you only selling shaving cream to men? Okay, so then you should probably think about having a lot of those type of people giving their ideas and values to you. But if you're selling a pack of crisps, which can be ate by a child, a woman, a man, like everybody, then really your work employees should be diverse. They should be
diverse, yeah.
Right? So you talked a little bit about Data Story. Do you want to tell us about how that started and what you offer through Data Story?
Yeah, so it started probably 4 or 5 years ago after a stint. My longest role has been 18 months. Also, I graduated just after the 2008, sorry, crash. Yeah, so it was just volatile, the job market was. So yeah, I decided after my longest stint in the city, I was like, right, this is not for me. I just don't like how big corporations operate. And also, I was still on a learning curve. I was quite early on in my career. There was just no budget for training, no budget for upskilling, anything. I literally spent, from leaving uni every year up until that point, 5 years, studying most years, most evenings, and also my own money. So that was extremely, I guess, stressful. But at the end of it, I thought, great, I've got all these skills, and I may as well take advantage of the fact that I can start up my own consultancy and also take advantage of, I noticed the sort of work I was doing across all of the firms that I've been at. Each industry was slowly coming behind. I think FMCG were the first to sort of, do the whole, I'll call it, I don't know if you've watched the programme on Cambridge Analytica, have you?
I know all about their shenanigans, yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of companies obviously weren't using it for sinister things, but that sort of analytics, and it was being rolled out in other industries. So there was a big gap, I guess, for companies there. So yeah, it delivers consultancy services, mainly within CRM, analytics, now a bit more going into the data science and machine learning side of things. Tend to work mainly on my own. I've had 1 or 2 people join when I've had big projects, but yeah, more consultancy. And because of IR35, I'm not sure how much longer I'll be able to keep on to that, but I have other ideas. So
yes, don't give away your secrets. Yeah. Okay, Sade, so I wanted to ask you about, who is your inspiration? Who's that person that inspired you into entrepreneurship?
So for me, it's definitely not like the classic Richard Branson, although I do love what he's been able to achieve. But yeah, thinking back, I would say in terms of like the art of what is possible, or yeah, what is possible in general, it would probably have to be my grandma actually. So how my grandma came to the UK in ooh, the 60s, so it would have been like early to mid 60s. She would have been in her early 20s at the time, and she came at a point where her brothers were sent off to uni, and for whatever reason, the background that she came from, they believed in investing more into men, and that women should maybe go off and learn a trade or learn, I don't know, something small to get them a job. But if I sort of go back slightly further, actually, to what inspired my grandma to coming over and actually wanting more, would be her auntie. Yeah, my grandma's auntie is my great aunt. She broke tradition. I don't know why or how, don't know the full story, but she didn't have kids, which is unprecedented for back then. That was kind of a woman's job to have kids in the early part of the 1900s. I don't know, would have been
Yeah, yeah.
1930. Like, what else are you going to be doing? But yeah, she didn't have kids, and she went into trading, like mainly sugar. She did trade a few other things, I think maybe gold as well, and took my grandma. Instead of my grandma going to her to learn, I think it would have been just like house, house stuff, domestic stuff. She taught her that, and that gave her, I guess, confidence to say, okay, I may not be offered the opportunities that my brothers are going off to uni, but at least I could maybe go to the UK and seek better opportunities or working opportunities. But to her, I guess, amaze, when she arrived in the UK, she realised that at the time women didn't necessarily have rights, the ones that we do have now. It's only probably since the pandemic, but my sister and I have actually looked into that, and we came across a stat that I think it was before 1968, women couldn't legally earn money. So even if you worked, it was legally your husband's money or yeah. 1968 is not that far off. Like, it's really not that far off. It's yeah. So we hear like little snippets about, I guess, my grandma's life here and her life in Nigeria, but only now really understanding, I guess, the magnitude of her, working. And then I think I've mentioned, maybe to you or some other friends before, that she, anytime we walk around London, she'll say, oh, I used to work in this hotel, it didn't exist, we came in, we helped build this. And she worked in hospitality, and then managed to start a small like property portfolio off the back of that, like towards the later part of her working life. So I would say, she's definitely inspired me. I feel without her, I wouldn't really have anyone to emulate. And to be honest, maybe I'm not actually trying to emulate her. I think because we've had those discussions, like little bits here and there, I've sort of known what is possible for a woman. And I guess for myself, I think about my opportunities and what I have, and how much far ahead with my degree and my skill set I have compared to her. And I think, knowing what she's been able to achieve, only maybe just with completing secondary school, it kind of gives you good sort of footing to know, okay, if she can do it, I can at least try. I think outside of that, probably wouldn't have any sort of anyone that I could look up to in that sense, that I feel that isn't starting off maybe where the typical entrepreneur in this country is starting off. So yeah, my inspiration dates back.
Yeah, but that's amazing, because she's firstly she's a woman, and secondly she's part of your family. So it's almost like you are able to firsthand see, or not see, but firsthand know about somebody that did amazing things, and they weren't someone that was in an office far away doing something like aviation like Richard Branson. It was actually something you could just go and talk to or hear more about, and that's amazing and so powerful when you're trying to be an entrepreneur too. And I don't know if I mentioned there was a survey. It's funny you say that, because there was a survey they did of a large amount of people, and they said, okay, so who inspires you? 85% said a white man of some kind, so Richard Branson or somebody like that. And the other 15% had no clue. They didn't have anybody that they saw as inspiration. Us women, we need to be more visible, and sometimes we're just grinding, like your grandma. She was also there just trying to make her property portfolio and help set up other businesses, and I don't think she was thinking about being an inspiration. She just was one, right?
And doesn't even know that she's an inspiration, as in this is probably the first time her story has been told to anyone outside of the family. And even still, it's not like she sat us down and said, okay, I can do it, you should try. Little snippets that we've pieced together. So I feel that there hasn't maybe been that platform for women, or we've just been so focused on, I guess, as you said, grinding, but also if we think about the law as well, the law was not in our favour, far less opportunity, even just the law wasn't in our favour. So
everything really is quite there's lots of traditional ways that we see women as the carer, and even if we are entrepreneurs like myself, I still have a child to care for. That's still seen as a priority over maybe everything else. So we are making massive strides, and ACE is all about celebrating these women. We're a champion of women, so we want to push you all forward and make sure that the next time that question is asked, someone says, how many inspirational people can I list? I don't know.
I know. Or that'll be hard to choose because it's so long.
So whenever something amazing happens, it's more than often than not is to do with work. I privately can be seen a little celebratory dance. Which, like, I feel like, because at that point when something amazing happens to you, you just have this burst of energy, right? And
true.
And then, like, I do my little dance, my little victory dance, and then I move on with things, and it made me curious. What do other people do, like, either to get them pumped up, or what do you do to, like, celebrate your big wins in life?
So I'm definitely all about I would say play hard, work hard. So I'm happy to sort of block myself away for a month, work on something, and maybe see people buy it. Have to sound like a hermit now, but as in, like, come out my little no. So but as in for birthdays and stuff, like, I'm always up for that. But as in, like, once I know that I've achieved whatever it is that I've set out to achieve, then I will definitely try not to load anything more on my plate for that next month or so that I know that my calendar's free to sort of do things spontaneously. I love, like, going on, I don't know, like, either a holiday spontaneously, or I don't know, just like doing something in the city spontaneously. But if it's more sort of low-key, like your low-key private dance, then for me that would definitely be food. I would cook myself something really indulgent, pair it with, I don't know, wine or a good cocktail, and literally just pig out without having to think about like a deadline. I think you enjoy, like, food maybe more either when you're super stressed because it's obviously taking your mind off something, or when you've got nothing on. It's like you can actually, like, take it in, not just like hoovering food up for survival. You're actually eating for enjoyment.
I'm totally with you on that. I've told you my Monday story to get me through a hard week. It's the first place I stop on a Monday night if I'm close to it, because it makes me feel good, and it gets me in the, it's like a little reward before the task, which is kind of the wrong way around, but I like to do that because I feel like it keeps me going, and food just make us feel amazing inside. It's something that gives us all of those great endorphins. So I'm with you on that, and definitely traveling. That's one of the perks of being an entrepreneur, isn't it? Because once you completed that big task, you're able to plan your own time, and you're not subject to a 2-week holiday working around other people.
Have to take,
Like my mum's work, people used to run in and take the first holiday. You'd have to be quick to get the time off. But as an entrepreneur, you could just be like, I'm going now.
I need to go now. You can sort of plan around that more. Like you have this specific deadline you have to meet, but anything else is your time to sort of play around with. And then you can sort of, I don't know, there's this new phrase going around where I don't know what it's called, but people are assimilating their work into their life. I don't know if you've heard of this. Okay, I'll try to there's an article on it. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it kind of makes sense. Like, instead of having them separate, that's apparently the new trend.
You just mesh it into one thing and it's just one.
I'm not sure how.
That's interesting. I'm not sure how that works, because obviously working from home, for me, it's all kind of blended now into one big thing. And I appreciate so much being at home, but I definitely want to keep them separate. I can't mix the two, probably because my son is so young, but I can't mix the two of them together because it just nothing gets done properly. So interesting for you to talk about mindfulness and like to make sure that you're taking time away. Is that something you actively do to stop work and put your laptop down and just focus on you for a bit?
I definitely think that is so important. I guess being from a city like London, being in the rat race all the time, like you definitely need to consciously put that time aside in order to refresh and recoup. Another random stat, I guess, for millennials is I think burnout has now been classified as a mental illness, and a lot of people are suffering from burnout and anxiety probably either just before turning 30 or just after, which is not a great stat. And I feel with millennials, of course, we graduated in the crash. I know every generation has had stuff to deal with, but I feel that's probably a big thing. And then also the entrepreneurship's on the rise, so we're sort of juggling so many things all at once. So definitely I like to keep mindful of that, and I do feel prevention's better than cure. So and also part of the mantra, work hard, play hard, like you've got to have some downtime as well.
Totally agree with you on that one. So how was it when you set up your business? Did you find that challenging, going from working or university to starting a business? What were the tools that you used to get you from the idea to actually going live and starting to work?
No, it was quite straightforward. I think it was just the structure on the agreement side of things, how I'd do the work, which was different. It was pretty much the same work that I was doing, hence it made so much sense to me to switch over. Meant I had more control, meant I had more, I guess, options to work on different projects. I had a few friends that had started their own consulting firms in similar fields, so they were able to give me advice on, I guess, more the legal side of things and the account side of things. So it was Lovely. Yeah, quite easy. Easier than applying for multiple jobs and getting rejections for no reason, basically. So yeah, for me that was the most viable and option, and yeah, it made sense.
Good to hear, because a lot of people want to start working and becoming an entrepreneur, and they almost like see it as they don't know how to do it, so they think they can't, or they think it's hard, so they don't try. So it's good to hear that someone that's been doing it previously and you're about to do something new has just said this is something that is completely doable. You just have a look at what you need, go online, find the resources, speak to people you know that are already being an entrepreneur, working like this, and then you can quickly start. I would probably say it takes, I don't know, a month to set yourself up, probably less. In terms of doing the paperworky type things in the beginning. And then obviously you need to find clients, that's a bit more challenging.
Yeah.
But the actual setting up side of things is, if you're on task with finding an accountant, getting a business name and those kind of things, is a month, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously this is a different sort of like service I'm providing compared to starting a tech company or starting an e-commerce business or starting a food chain. That's very different. I was literally just doing the same job. Yeah.
That's true. If you're like doing, because obviously on The Apprentice and stuff, when the girl was different flavoured stuff, then you've got to, there's a whole
that's a whole nother ball game. Yeah.
So I guess we're talking about more of a like consultancy business. It doesn't matter what you're consulting in, but a consultancy business is a bit more straightforward to set up, where you just need your skill and your brain, right? And less products. And
exactly.
I guess we'll speak to people with products in other podcasts and figure out how they do.
Exactly.
What's your best piece of advice you've had along the way, Sade? Worst piece of advice. Maybe do both, best and worst, if you remember them.
I can't think of any advice, to be honest, as stark as that may sort of sound, other than the maybe 3 or 4 people that I know that I worked with prior at this very same company in the city. All 4 or 5 of us started our own consultancy firms within 4 or 5 months of each other. I don't think I knew anyone before that who I'd had like close enough relationship to. So we all felt like we were kind of winging it. The only thing I can think of that was maybe negative, I guess, is the fear of when you tell other people that you're working with and they're just like, gosh, how are you going to cope? It means you're going to have to sort out your own either pensions, or you're going to have to sort out getting your own clients, but all things that I knew I was good at, and like the softer side of things. And that sort of maybe doubt can come into your head when it's just like, well, actually, what if you're working on a project and it's just you? How are you then going to deal with generating ideas and coming up with solutions? But again, something I was, confident in. So I have heard a lot of negativity around starting up my own consultancy, but nothing was said directly to me. And I also had those 4 people that had gone before me and were already giving like really good reviews. And I ended up again working with one of those. We were both taken on as consultants in another firm. So it kind of was a bit of a lonely road in terms of I only knew those people and we were all spread out, but in a good way. It meant that other people couldn't sort of spread their negative views on it. Yes. When you're first in, you've got nothing to sort of like look back on, good and bad.
Yeah, stay away from those negative people will eat you up, won't they, with their doubting thoughts. I try to surround myself with positive people and doers, and mostly people that are doing a lot better than me, because then
that's key.
Aim towards, right? And You know, I love when people are doing amazingly well, because I just like, oh, I just want this, and then you have the power to work harder to get it right.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to have that amazing flat with that view. You know, I can do it as well. If my friend can do it, I can do it. And
exactly,
right?
exactly, yeah.
Do you think you're? Do you subscribe to never be the smartest person in the room? There's
Oh,
that
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Like, it's, yeah, probably a saying that I've heard from when I was a kid, and one that I, respect and understand why. Obviously, it's not like if I end up being, I'll remove myself from the room, but like, can't be in here any smarter people. But I've definitely found that I've gone first with a lot of things in life, and that can be so frustrating because you've got no one to look to. It is hard to find a mentor. I know everyone says find a mentor, find a mentor. I've joined various programs from Virgin Startup, waited 2 years, they couldn't find a suitable mentor. There must be one in the whole of England. Like, everyone seemed to have been out of their depth. That was for another company I started. It is tough. I don't think we're bred to be very entrepreneurial or think outside the box in this country. It's very sort of capitalist driven.
Yeah.
So I do subscribe to that, and yeah, I find it difficult when I'm not surrounded by at least a few people that are either not, obviously we're using smart very loosely, either done something before you, or you know, there's so many synonyms to that. But yeah, I do subscribe to it. Like, I see value in that, I seek that.
Yeah, definitely. And so you're now about to pivot into something completely new. What's giving you the energy and making you know that this is the next thing to do? Who's, you know, what's the main influence? This could be a person, could be a feeling, could be some insight. What's making you say, okay, it's time for something different now, I'm going to do something new?
Oh gosh, I think a combination of things. Yeah, current climate that we're in, there are a lot of opportunities. Yeah, I guess I've read and picked up on certain cues from, yeah, a lot of business papers I read or people that I follow, in terms of there being a shift. But yeah, something maybe I've been subconsciously following for a while, in terms of how the trend is going. But this is the biggest, probably, opportunity for some of my ideas. I think we have, again, just randomly discussed before, sometimes could be the right, or a good idea, a good product, but just not the right timing. So I feel, yeah, a lot of my ideas, I think I was saying to you, Tesla had that problem years ago. They were just too far forward for the times. Now, obviously, everything's about going green. So I feel that, yeah, in that same light, for myself, it's just best window of opportunity, actually, that I'm exploiting, which has probably been, 10 years in the making. I've been waiting for the right opportunity. I have done other things, but this is where I'm going all in terms of, like, really going for entrepreneurship, not this half and half thing that I've been doing. Yeah, I feel the time's right now.
Yeah, it's like exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm really going to do it. And no one is sort of like telling you no. You're like, okay, I'm really going to do it. And no one is saying to do it.
I know, it's like, I'm doing it now.
Someone stop me. No, everyone is pushing forward.
Exactly.
It's exciting, and this is like a moment where we're almost standing still. You know, we're standing still. We've had a chance to breathe. Okay, there's the terrible COVID situation that's happening. which has almost like forced us into this moment of stopping and thinking and thinking about what's truly really making me happy. Was I enjoying my previous life as it was? What changes do I really want to make now to, go forward now in the best way possible? So a lot of those things that we were doing before, like traveling and just the casual things we were doing to spend our time, we probably won't be doing for a little while. So it's like now, it's a lot of people are just focusing completely on driving forward that amazing idea they've been thinking about for ages, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you like to do when you're not working, Sade? What's your relaxation time like? How do you look after Sade?
Well, that's probably another reason why I am going all in with entrepreneurship, more just to have some of my own time back. As I explained before, I've studied most years for the past 10 years. I also ran my own business on the side. So it left not much time to socialise, but when I did, it would mainly be holidays, like actually taking time out, like where I just knew I'd either leave my laptop at home or plan stuff on the holiday to go to like attend a concert or so on and so forth. And therefore I knew I was making sure I wasn't gonna sort of get into work mode. In terms of city life, what I like to do, again, it's just around friends' birthdays. There's always something going on. But I would say music is probably the biggest thing that if I just want to switch off, it will either be a festival, concert, or I don't know, anything music related. So yeah, music.
That's so cool. Music can like transport you to another place. It's almost like you just zone out completely.
Exactly.
It's going to be weird. There's going to be no festivals, at least for this year.
I know. I think they're going to be streaming Glastonbury, like all the old stuff. Yeah. So I actually bought a ticket to see Black Coffee. It was in May, but it's been postponed to November. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but at least I've got that to look forward to if we continue on this downward trajectory with coronavirus. But yeah, I do miss socializing in that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird because we're on Zoom now, whereas we would be
hanging
out in person.
I know.
So Sade, like what I would say about you is you're really smart, and you really have a great way of taking on new things and learning and looking at everything from different angles. Probably your whole data mind, really, isn't it? Because you're used to like analysing numbers and turning it into a story,
into something.
So if somebody wanted to reach out and they were really interested in analytics, maybe they wanted to know where to start, or maybe they needed you to help take their data and turn it into something, how could they reach out to you, and what kind of things would you be interested in helping people with?
So in terms of where they can find me, I'm sure you'll put it in the description, but it's just my name, Sade, Sade, and then my surname, Amale, Amale. I'm on LinkedIn. I need to get my website up and running. I don't have that website, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one with that combination of names, so it's me. In terms of what I could help with, I'm definitely open to I guess some sort of, maybe not full-on mentorship, but having like a community, someone to speak to who's done it before. I'm up for that. In terms of the work aspect, anything analytics, as you said, Nadine, so being able to take data, structure it, try to look for patterns in that data, trying to solve a problem that's a data problem you could have. I don't know, data from your e-commerce business, your website, and you want to understand what someone's buying and what demographic people are buying X, Y, and Z, so I can help out with that. Anything really that is data related. Data science, I would say more predictive modeling, but not sure that many companies are doing that just yet, in terms of depending how big you are. So yeah, anything data, or if I don't know, I can certainly put you in the direction of someone who will know.
And that's amazing. So I was also going to say, do you have any tips for people that have data? So, for instance, they have an e-commerce business, they've been tracking who's been buying from them and different products they've been buying, and where. They've got this whole bed of data, but they've never even looked at it. Would you have anything, like any tips for them, as in what they should do next with that whole set of data? Is there anything they can do with it?
So just to be clear, so someone that's got a lot of data,
yeah,
and they've never touched it, they don't know what to do with it. What scenario do we have here?
The kids have like disappeared outside. Let's bring. Yeah. So let for instance, they're running an e-commerce business. They're getting mails, but they don't really know what to do with this data. They're just sitting on all this data. Should they be looking at where people are from, or is there anything you would advise to them?
Yeah, definitely. I think there are loads of blogs that you can sort of start with. I use one, it's called Towards Data Science. That's great at like breaking things down and maybe explaining different data sets, so CRM data or demographic data, even if you don't know what any of those mean. Like, yeah, you can definitely find definitions and what that data looks like from that site, and then they usually embed references, so that will take you on a whole another journey. That's a good place to start. And yeah, just maybe try to find out what you can do with the data, or if you've got a specific question that you want to find out from the data. If we go back to e-commerce, I want to, I don't know, increase the amount of men that buy from me. Maybe I guess that's a very specific thing that you want to look at the sorts of data that you need to gather and see whether you're gathering that data is a good start as well, because you're as good as your data, really. But yeah, that's where I'd start. So looking at the data that you have, getting up to speed with data and the different sorts of data sets and how they can be used. And I mentioned Towards data, I think it's called, or Towards Data Science, a good way to start. Yeah. And then from there on, maybe reaching out to someone who can help with that.
Amazing. So have a look at what data you have, number one. If you can see male or female, great, then you can have a look at your male data set.
Exactly.
And then, maybe you can see where they're living. You can target people on Facebook or Instagram based on that area, right? And then also, like Sade says, look online and start to look at these acronyms. So when you see it come in your report, you know what they mean. So we'll do a little best tips with Sade. I'll gather some questions and we'll ask you 5 questions for our data specialist in advance, not on the fly.
I thought you were going to do it now.
No, I'm not going to do it now. I
was like, okay. I'd definitely be happy to do that.
We should definitely do that, and we can showcase your skills. It's hard when you're so in it, when you live and breathe data, to turn it into layman's terms for someone that's
I
don't know what to do with it, and then you're trying to explain to them, and it just is very challenging.
Yeah, but I think more and more now everyone has to use data. Like, I've got friends who work in strategy that are like director level and beyond, and are now all of a sudden analytics is coming onto the job specs, SQL, coding. It's like, why? So I think anyone can do it, obviously to varying degrees, but any e-commerce business, you need to know what your data's saying.
So would you say that people should definitely have some kind of tracking on their activity?
Yeah, even if it's not like cookie tracking or anything like that, even if it's, how else can you track? Even if it's just like what information you're gathering, what you've asked. It depends what you want to use the information for. So even
yeah,
things like that, exactly. Like, do you need to start asking a bit more in order to send the right emails to certain people? So even just something like that.
amazing. Thank you. Even your quick tips are great tips, you know. We love that. So thank you so much, Sade. I really appreciate your time and sitting down to talk with us, and tell us a bit more about what you do. We would love to do another podcast with you, maybe in a couple of months when you're further down the line with your journey, and we can see how you're getting on and keep in touch. And we'll definitely do some analytics questions with you as well.
Absolutely, sounds great. Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, excited to see what comes next. What is it? Boss in Business?
Yeah, Boss in Business.
I actually remembered. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's a great initiative, and I'll be interested to hear other people's journeys. I'm interested in men, but in general, but more specifically women, because I feel that our stories aren't told. And yeah, I knew you would later on. Like, when I said it, I was like, she hasn't quite got what I said. I wasn't putting my preference out there.
We can talk about that and another podcast.
I know.
You know, actually, this is the Charlotte
trying to pitch myself from every angle here, aren't I?
You're looking for a smart girl. Beautiful. Okay, so we can probably cut that bit out. Sade, thank you so much. Stay on, so I can chat to you a second. But thank you everyone for listening, subscribing, following. Please share with your friends and drop us a note if you're an amazing entrepreneur and you'd like to be seen on Boss in Business. Bye for now.
Bye.